Hello and welcome to Business Sense. I'm Ralph Rivas. For today's episode, we will talk about the state of the IT BPM industry. The industry, of course, is considered one of the pillars of the Philippine economy, providing thousands of jobs and generates billions of pesos. Now, with the rise of generative AI, what will happen to the industry? Now, to talk more about that and more, we have here in the Rappler studio IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines President and CEO, Jack Madrid. Hi, Jack. Thanks so much for finding time and welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi, Ralph. It's good to be here.
So, how would you describe the industry these days?
Well, the industry, I'm happy to say, is at a very strong growth trajectory. We are one of the few industries in the country to have grown jobs for Filipinos through the challenging years of the pandemic. We added 255,000 jobs in those 3 years. And the growth trajectory we expect to continue in the next 5 to 6 years. After all, over the past decades, the Philippines IT BPM sector has become a world capital of global IT BPM. Second in number only to India. But the Philippines has its unique strengths, as does India. But I foresee us to continue to establish and retain our position on the world stage.
Now, we grew during the pandemic because, well, mostly the more developed countries outsourced, right? I mean, because of the pandemic.
I think offshoring of critical business services has been a critical, component of virtually all industry strategy over the past decades. And thanks to the resilient and strong labor force of the Philippines, Filipinos are now renowned for world-class communication skills and, of course, even more important, our empathy in providing consistent customer experience over the years. So I like to say that the whole world prefers a Filipino to resolve their issue.
But isn't protectionism in the more developed countries an issue? Is that a threat? Or
That has been a challenge in the past, but I have not heard that to be a barrier anymore. I think offshoring and nearshoring of business functions is now a very accepted way to do business for several reasons. Cost optimization will always be one. I mean, this started, after all, with a labor cost arbitrage. But the Philippines has now grown beyond cost competitiveness. It is really all about the human capital that the Filipinos provide. And we have proven this decade after decade. You just look at the growth trajectory. And look at the numbers of multinational companies. Virtually everyone is here, from the banking world to the healthcare sector world to creative industries. We've all been, we are host to virtually all multinational companies. So in a sense, our industry has become a little bit hard to define. We have grown well beyond contact centers. Or even BPO. We now call ourselves IT BPM, which really refers to a very diverse array of global businesses services that our 1.6 million strong employee workforce performs daily across all 24 time zones.
So 1.6 million. What's the number in the next few years? How many jobs will be added?
IBPAP's Roadmap 2028, which we launched last year, has an ambitious goal of adding over 1 million jobs for Filipinos through the end of 2028. When we started this, we were at 1.4 million. And we've grown since then. So I think we have another 800,000 jobs to go before we hit the target. So my team and I will be busy for the next 5 years.
So what will it take to reach the 2 million? I think a big issue there is, do we have the skill set? Does our labor force have the skill set to adapt?
This is probably the most critical challenge and opportunity. Roadmap 2028 aims to have 2.5 million employees by the end of 2028. Now, how do we get there? We will need four focus areas, which will be all that my team and I will do in the next 4 or 5 years. The ease of doing business, policy shaping, and ensuring that government rules and regulations are followed consistently will always be something that investors look for. And so that is always going to be there, and there is some work to be done. Having said that, we've made significant strides. In the past year and a half, with us leading the way, we've been able to establish work flexibility for our workforce, accelerated during the pandemic. And thanks to our partners in government, we now have that. Hybrid work, being able to work from anywhere, we have proven it does work. And it's now actually an important criteria for our employees, present and future, to be able to have this work flexibility. And I think that needs to stay in place. We've proven that it works. We can work, obviously, from on-site operations. But during the pandemic, we had a very challenging issue of having to mobilize over 1 million employees and their IT equipment to a work-from-home setup, which was never done before. But we've proven to the world that we did the work very well without any dip in productivity or customer satisfaction. So that is an example of policy shaping and making sure that we make it easy for our investors to do business in our country.
But what about setting up shop, those that are interested to open shop here? How many permits does it take pa ba? Is that still a big issue?
Well, I think, digital transformation will include, making it easy to register your businesses here. And in fact, part of our industry is about making it easy to hire, recruit, and establish, startup offshoring operations in the country. So that's part of the ease of doing business. But let me continue to the next pillar of our roadmap. I'll talk now about the need to upskill and reskill our existing workforce and the future, generations of job seekers. Okay, both at the university and senior high school level. After all, this is, one of our demographic advantages along with India is our young population. The average age of our country is the youngest in Asia at something like 25.5. So we do have that demographic leverage to further grow the industry. But what's missing, and that's why we have a talent gap and a job skills mismatch, is really increasing the pool of employable talent. And that is critical for us to attain our goal of 1.1 million jobs. So, we have 800,000 college graduates a year. Unfortunately, not all of them are employable in our industry.
That's already college level, but here you are saying that it's still not enough. So what will it take? What types of skills are needed and are not being taught at even the college?
Well, education goes beyond the classroom. The skills that are needed in the future of work. In fact, we're already in the future of work right now. Are a combination of digital, domain, and soft skills. Not all of this can be taught in the classroom. So from elementary through secondary education, which also needs to be addressed, we need to make sure that our students are equipped with basics like comprehension, communication skills, collaboration skills, and social skills. These are all important to thrive in a very digital and AI-driven work environment. So let us not underestimate that. Let us not overestimate our communication skills. Sure, we're good. The world perceives us to be excellent, but we must not rest on our laurels because it's not just India and the Philippines anymore. We have countries like South Africa, Egypt, Poland, Colombia, who are trying to get a slice of our market share, and we need to defend that. And the only way is to double down on our demographic advantage. And the only way to do that is the upskilling and reskilling. So back to the question, we need to address some fundamental gaps in our educational system at all levels to address those basic skills that I talked about. Next, we need domain skills. What do I mean by that? Our investors have taken the bulk of the burden of training our workforce as they onboard into what we hope to be a long-term career in IT BPM. Teaching them banking, accounting, care management, medical, the medical field, it's very diverse, so we need diverse skills for the healthcare sector, and also the creative side. So our industry has become quite diverse. And I think those specific domain skill areas cannot be neglected. Our investors need to, increase their investment in the training of new and existing employees. And last but not least, I think it is incumbent for our workforce to also upskill on their own. After all, with the advent of generative AI, I think we need to be familiar with using AI-enabled platforms and tools so that our workforce can be even better than they currently are, being empowered by AI technology.
Speaking of AI, now this has been really the hot issue these days. Can we keep up? And of course, you were talking about upskilling, things like that. But here comes generative AI, basically trying to promise or is already showing promise that it will erase language barriers. It can do lots of things. Maybe erase the current jobs that we have.
Well, AI. We have been using AI even before ChatGPT was invented. And so, we have to remember that our sector was how technology came into the country. And I think we have proven, the Filipinos, not just our sector, but Filipinos have proven to be very adept at adapting to technology. So I know that the inherent talent is there. And I think we just need to view AI as yet another transformative opportunity to be able to upgrade and strengthen and make more efficient the business processes that our Filipino workforce does. So I view it as more of an opportunity than a threat. And the history of work, we have underestimated the new kinds of work that new technologies can bring. We have focused too much on the paranoia of job displacement. So I think we need to just, control, let us deal with challenges that we can control rather than be fearful of AI. We need to accept it, embrace it. All the information is there. And it's on our screens every day. Let us just take this more seriously, upskill ourselves. I think it's a personal imperative for us to do that and not just rely on the government or our employer to upskill us. I think it is a personal responsibility for all Filipinos to upskill themselves and instead of worrying about job displacement. The good thing about AI is that the whole world is starting on a level playing field. This is not new just for the Filipino workforce. The whole world has to adapt to this. So, It's really a very cultural and I think attitudinal thing for us to just accept new technology. And we've done it in the past. We were the text messaging capital of the world some years back. We embraced it. Why can't we embrace AI in the same way?
Now, okay, lots of points to break down there and dissect. But of course, merong mawawala talagang jobs.
We have always wanted to go to higher value jobs.
But the question really there is, going back to your points earlier, do we have the skills? Does our labor market?
And I go back to the biggest challenge of the industry. We need to accept that to survive in the workplace, to remain employable, we need to accept the need to learn, unlearn, and relearn new skills faster than ever before. Otherwise, we get left behind. Now, whose responsibility is that? We can't just say, government, educate me. No. That doesn't really work, right? It is a personal responsibility. It's a family's responsibility to make sure that we give maximum opportunities to our future generation of job seekers.
Okay, let me push you a little further. What types of jobs are going away or are actually have been gone na because of generative?
Well, in the history of work, the monotonous, repetitive, automated tasks are the ones that are most easily replaced. This is welcome news because there's still a big chunk of that being done by our workers, but we have always wanted higher value skills. And to get those higher value skills or higher value jobs, we need to upgrade our skills. So it just goes back to talent development. It's really as simple as that. Now, is it hard? Of course it's hard. You know, learning is never easy. That's why we have an educational system. That's why we have resources to upgrade our skills outside the classroom. And those are really even more important than what you may have earned as a college degree. I think it's all about skills more than it is about degrees. I think what you studied 5 years ago in college is less relevant than upskilling and increasing your roster of skills today. The global, the global arena of work is now competing head to head. It's not within the Philippines anymore. We're now on the world stage and we are in a leadership position. So it is ours to lose, or at least maintain our market share. So it's incumbent on all the stakeholders of the industry, not just the educational system or the government, but the investors who are doing business here, the employees, the job seekers, students. We all have a stake in this. How many industries can the Philippines claim to be a world leader on? It's not basketball, it's not entertainment.
Entertainment pwede pa.
Yes, but who? ITBPM.
Of course.
1.6 million and growing, with the promise to deliver 1 million more jobs. Name me an industry that can deliver that and contribute 9% of our economy's GDP. This is ours to lose if we don't take it seriously.
Okay, the next question there, of course, your goal is to add 1 million more. Pero how's the salary naman dun sa nag-increase ba? I mean with the rise, with the more demands, of course.
We cannot consider the industry in one dimension, that we're all doing the same thing, all earning the same salaries. As I said earlier, our array of jobs span every single industry, whether it's financial services or healthcare, creative, nursing, you name it. A Filipino is doing it, serving global customers. So it's hard to answer about salaries. But I think we're extremely competitive with respect to more traditional work.
Oh, another issue that I want to talk about is the rise of virtual assistant jobs. Kasi I have friends who work in IT BPM and then who preferred virtual assistants, the jobs, kasi ang dami these days eh. So basically, the way my friend described it is, cutting some middleman out and going directly to where they want, and they have better, a more competitive salary. So with the rise of VAs, how is that affecting the IT BPM industry, the traditional?
You know, virtual assistants has been with us for quite some time now. It's part of the industry, I would say, and it's a natural phenomenon, especially with the advent of remote work. I mean, I think we just need to accept that. I understand the appeal of it. You know, a lot of our workforce like and prefer work flexibility, and VAs offer that. Now, there are many flavors of VAs. There are major companies that provide, a wide offering of VA jobs. So I get all that. It's part of the future of work. But there are also those that are maybe unregistered, and those are the ones that are a little bit more operate in a grayer area. And that one, I would be a little bit more cautious if you were to consider that. Working for an unregistered business enterprise, you don't know who you're dealing with. And I would say the benefits are probably uncertain. Stability is in question. My point is there's a lot of choice, and you cannot view it in a single lens. But yes, it's very much part of the future of work.
And another issue that I want to talk about is, another set of online jobs, basically Filipinos training AI to generate better output. But the situation, the New York Times has reported about it, medyo problematic yung ano. So what are your thoughts on that? And of course, there's an appeal to it as well.
Well, I would like more Filipinos, working in AI-enabled environments. Aside from just, if we could get to the stage where we're actually helping to build AI tools, that would be very ideal. But what I think you're referring to are recent incidents reported in media about, low-level tasks. Probably you're referring to the Washington Post article on AI labeling done by certain U.S. companies in remote areas of the Philippines. Now, obviously, that was a disturbing account. It painted a picture of digital sweatshops.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that was disturbing to me, and in fact, I spoke to the media about it, and it's part of the fact of part of the risks of working, in with an unregistered employer, and so it's very hard to regulate employment practices and behavior if a business is not registered. So I think the government needs to step in and regulate anyone who's not properly registered. So there's no easy answer to that right now, and certainly we need to, I think, originate better job opportunities for these workers. And my answer is the IT BPM industry, because we are very established. We are composed of reputable employers who have been doing business successfully in our country for decades. And so, for the most part, our industry are composed of compliant investors who follow established rules and regulations when they set up shop in our country. And that's really what our organization, IBPAP, supports. All our members are legitimate business enterprises who do a very good job in treating their employees fairly.
Okay, so final words, a wish list perhaps for government and other stakeholders in the industry, or What's your, what are you hopeful? What are you fearful?
Well, I want all our viewers and listeners to appreciate that the IT BPM industry is an indispensable pillar of the Philippine economy. Do not view us as only composed of call centers. Our employees have very promising careers in front of them, even in a more challenging AI-driven world. And I would like us to take education and upskilling more seriously than we ever have before. Talent management, talent retention will be a challenge because our industry was built on the bedrock of Filipino talent. We will be addressing all of these challenges and opportunities in the region's biggest IT BPM industry event that is happening on the 27th and 28th of September at the Okada in Manila. The International IT BPM Summit promises, a very compelling agenda of content, speakers, presentations, and panel discussions that will address all the challenges and opportunities of our industry and how IBPAP and its members intend to achieve our ambitious goal of adding 1.1 million jobs by 2028. So that is my wish. That is my team's mission. And I hope to see you all there, and including the Rappler team, so you can report our progress on our ambitious goal at the event.
Yeah, I look forward to it and see you. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show. Thanks so much, IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines President and CEO, Jack Madrid. This has been another episode of Business Sense. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.